Hello, everybody. It's Noah here, and I'm joined by Kevin.
Hey, what's up, people?
And we are here for the Season 7 draft analysis. Before we start, I want to talk about something. What are your opinions on SNEASLER, Kevin?
I think SNEASLER looks pretty cool. Not gonna lie, no.
SNEASLER is the
Right?
best designed Pokemon I've ever seen. It is amazing. I love SNEASLER. Unironically, though, this is actually one of the funniest things I've seen in my entire life, and because of that, I actually love it. Unironically, I just love it. It's amazing. Okay. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start with Meditite Conference. I'm not sure how long this will take. If it ends up taking more than an hour, we'll probably just end the video and we'll do Medicham tomorrow or the day after.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I guess we're going to start with London Lucarios. I'll kick us off. This is Ash's team. And he was the first draft pick, and so was I. We both actually have pretty similar teams. We both got Azelf. We're both taking advantage of the Smeargle in the Tier 5, which is pretty crazy. He also drafted some Pokemon that I usually like to use. I like to use Keldeo. I use Clefable a bit. I used Dom once. I don't really like it. And his Raincore is a good Raincore. It's Polytoad Rain, which is the best Rain you could use. It's the only viable Rain. Pelipper's trash. So this team, it's pretty strong. It's definitely very threatening. We saw so in FBA usually weather does it usually does decent. But in the Meditite conference last season, it just absolutely destroyed Darien Ran, Mega Swampert Rain, and just destroyed the entire competition. And we have Ash here running Rain in the Meditite conference again, so it should be able to put in work. I love the Keldeo pick. Keldeo in Tier 2. I feel like he's got a lot of value picks, because Keldeo in Tier 2 is amazing. Azelf in Tier 3 is amazing. Smeargle in Tier 5 is amazing. The webs could be a bit redundant, considering he has Rain, which already boosts his speed by 2, so the webs won't be necessary. But they are good for mons like Darmanitan and sometimes Keldeo to hit those, to be able to get things that are higher speed tier. Like if it's facing a Dragapult, Keldeo could just fire off 2 Hydro Pumps if it specs and just 2-hit KO on the switch. Defensively, the team is somewhat lacking in a defensive core. He's got Clef. That's about it. Yeah, that's pretty much all is to say about this team. Offensively, it's super threatening. He doesn't have the best type coverage offensively, though, as well, because Swampert, being an offensive water type, will struggle with bulky waters, and that's something that Darmanitan also struggles with. So offensively, it's very strong and threatening to teams that can't handle it. But if they have a good counter, like a Milotic, would absolutely be amazing against this team. Spidef Milotic. You don't even need Fizdef because Darmanitan won't. Or maybe you do need Fizdef for Darmanitan. Or actually mixed defense should be fine. So if someone like Memo's team, Max Power Pikachu's, they have a Milotic that could easily just switch in on these things. So offensively, if it has the pressure, it'll work well. If not, then it will definitely be not too good. And defensively, you can't really do much. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm this is definitely one of those classic draft Rain teams, right? So you got Polytoad, Keldeo, Mega Swampert. I feel like that's such a strong core for Rain, and really all you need for it, because Keldeo is just such a special nuke, and then Mega Swampert. I mean, we all know what Mega Swampert does.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I mean, I feel like you missed out on one or two things that I want to bring up. I think first of all, it's kind of weird that there's 2 grass types on this team,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, you have Delmise, and then I feel like Leafeon as a Z captain is kind of odd in a certain sense. I just feel like it doesn't synergize very well with the team, especially because there's no sun on it. I mean, I would have loved to see a Sunsetter with Leafeon, especially as a Z user.
Yeah, it's very.
I feel like Darmanitan's also a little bit of a weird pick. I mean, I think it's definitely very powerful as a Tier 2. But I just failed to see how it synergizes too well with the team, especially because you don't really have the greatest pivots into its weaknesses. In terms of defensively, like you mentioned, he does have Clef, and I think Orbeetle is also a great Tier 4 pick for a defensive mon, especially because it gets Recover and Webs and things like that. Azelf as well. I mean, it's a good rocker, great speed tier, value pick for Tier 3. But I think overall, I mean, it's a really strong Rain core, and it definitely has some mons to back it up. But I would have wished to see some more Pokemon that can back up that Rain core a bit more. I mean, I know it's Rain, but I would have loved to see a Fire type something they can cover some more weaknesses like that as well. So
Right.
those are my thoughts. But I mean, definitely like a pretty strong, overall team.
Yeah. I feel like in the future we'll definitely see probably a free agent pick maybe for the Darmanitan for something else because once again Darmanitan really doesn't fit the team. Its offensive pressure is strong on a lot of teams, but on this team it's just not really needed. You already have a strong physical attacker in Swampert. I think maybe a steel type. Actually, yeah, he doesn't have a steel. Something that synergizes well defensively, maybe with Clefable, would be really good for this team. Or maybe a special attacking dragon would also be nice. But yeah, so overall it's definitely strong against people who aren't prepared for it. But if you have good counters, then you can absolutely destroy it. There's really no way for him to destroy it. There's no real way for him to win a good matchup. If you have a water type counter like Melodic, then it's pretty much game.
Well, I mean, he's two grass types, so I mean, like, I guess you can do something against Melodic.
Yeah. I guess against Memo's team that is true, because we'll talk about that later, of course. Something like Primarina on Cinderace Revenge's team is gonna be really scary because if you against Leafeon and Delmies, you could just easily switch in Mega Scissor and not be threatened at all.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so overall, I guess we'll rate it. I think what we'll do is rate each one out of 10. At the end, we'll do power rankings.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd say it is still really. I want to give it maybe it's definitely a 6 or a 7 out of 10, right?
Yeah, I'm feeling 6. I mean, like, I think the core really drives a lot of the rating, but I just wish I could have seen some more synergized picks, especially defensively. I feel like something like Registeel would have been like really nice on this team.
True. Oh wait, so what did you say, 7 or
6?
Oh, you said 6. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think just because it's the Meditite conference, it'll do better than a 6, but in terms of the team overall, it's probably a 6. All right, so you want to start us off with Sushi's West Haven Moobats team?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think this is a really interesting team. I think you got some really big powerhouses, right? So you got like Mega Diancie, Hoopa Unbound, 2 really heavy hitters, and then in combination you got Tapu Bulu plus Halucha as another pairing. I feel like Halucha plus Bulu is pretty underrated. I feel like most people probably do something like Coco Lucha or Tapu Lele Lucha. So cool to see Lucha with Grassy Terrain.
We do see it on Sword Shield OU though, or at least we used to with Rillaboom, right?
Yeah. And then you got other things like Swallow, and then you have Seismitoad and Quillfish. Pretty interesting because both of them get Swift Swim, so it would have been funny if there was a Rain Setter, but Venomoth, great sweeper with Quiver Dance. Komala is a great support Pokemon with Wish, Rapid Spin, things like that. And Camerupt is a Z user. It's also pretty interesting as well. I mean, I think Camel did that last season, so definitely has some potential there. Overall, I mean, like, I would have loved to see like some kind of Steel type on this team. But I think it has the core of like Diancie, Hoopa Unbound as like the 2 biggest hitters, and then Tapu Bulu and Swallow can also break with specs. So overall, it's very offensive.
Yeah.
And the defensive core is a little bit lacking, but I mean, offensively, it just has so much pressure that it really puts the opponent on the defensive.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think offensively, it looks really strong. I think the Hoopa Unbound pick is honestly an amazing pick. I mean, is it base 70? I think speed, right? I think it's base 70.
Yeah, something like that.
It's base 70 speed. So it's you almost always need to scarf it. But either way, it just hits incredibly hard. He has that, and he also has Bulu and Halucha, which are really good. But then you basically have 3 physical attackers that are all really strong. 2 of them are usually breakers. One is more of a setup sweeper. And then on the special side, you have Mega Diancie, and then I guess you also have Swallow, but you don't have much. So physical walls would be really good against this team. Somewhat. I mean, honestly, it's not even true though, because Green Bay Zekrom has a Corviknight, but that can't take a banded Hoopa hit.
I mean, Hoopa can be special too.
Right. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, Hoopa can be special. That is true. Yeah, but I mean, the bigger problem, as you said, is defensively he doesn't have much. His only defensive mons, I mean, he has Quillfish, he has Diancie, and he has Seismitoad. None of them get reliable recovery. So defensively,
you have Wish on Kamala if you really want.
Kamala too. Yeah, Wish Kamala. Yeah. So overall, there isn't much of a defensive backbone. There isn't too much type synergy. There's no Steel, this is the second team in a row we've seen without a Steel, and Steels are always very powerful. Steel is probably the best type in Pokemon right now, maybe in contention with like Fairy. So overall, I definitely think this team is really strong, but similar to the Rain team, there's no real defensive backbone here. I do think it'll be easier
Yeah, I
for him
mean,
to
I
break stuff, though. Like, even if you come up against a wall like Mega Scissor or Corviknight, he will be able to break it to some extent.
yeah, I think I agree with that pretty well. Something I want to know is that the team doesn't really have many like grass resists, which is actually kind of surprising. I think that's pretty funny, but it would have benefited from the steel type. So it's in the same situation where like it's such a strong offensive team. I just would have loved to see like some kind of like defensive backbone. It has one, but not the strongest.
Yeah. Wait, did you say there's no grass?
I feel like if you have a bad matchup, then it's just going to be hard to not get steamrolled a little bit.
Wait, what did you say? He has no grass resists?
I mean, besides like Swellow and like
Swellow.
Palucha and Venomoth.
I guess Venomoth. Well, if it's a special attack, it's a special attack, maybe. But yeah. Overall, maybe 7, 6, 7.
I was thinking 7.
Okay, I think I'm giving it 7.
I just like the Hoopa plus Diancie pick.
True. Right, yeah, I feel like they're both Gen 6 mons. They're both legendaries, and I feel like they this looks like they go together. All right. Now we got Harlem Garchompers. We got a returning player here, C-Force. This looks like much looks like a C-Force team. I'm pretty sure he's drafted Dragapult plus Rotom before. I'm not sure what else I think he also drafted Torn at some point, maybe. The team looks. I like it a lot. Defensively, he has a lot of defensive mons. He has Rotom, Sylveon, Muck, and Snorlax, which all pair together very well. Rotom is immune to ground, which is great for Muck. You got Sylveon's a fairy type, which is obviously weak to poison, which is resisted by Muck, and Steel, which is resisted by Rotom 4 times. There's no fighting. Oh, no, there is a fighting switching. There's Sylveon. The only problem is that Sylveon and Snorlax are both special walls. Sylveon could be a bit more physical. But out of these 4, there's no dedicated physical wall. But he does, of course, have the Mega Aggron as well, which is very good. The only problems I see is that a banded Weavile could do some damage. Low kick could shit on the Aggron. Knockoff destroys them all. But overall, besides the small weakness that a powerful knockoff or maybe a powerful fighting type attack could be really devastating. Besides that, the defensive core is really strong. Offensively, Sylveon is also good offensively, of course. Snorlax can be used as a setup sweeper, either Curse or Belly Drum. It's very good in VGC, especially. Dragapult could be special or physical. Banded, Specs, Scarf, it could do many things. It could be Will-O-Wisp, Hex. Torn is a Z Captain, which is also, I think, is very good on this team. It's a great pairing. It could help weaken things for Scarf Typhlosion to finish up, or Scarf Passimian or Dragapult. He also has Rampardos to destroy some things. So I think overall this team is actually really, really good. I don't think there's any Pokemon on this team that's like, you look at it and say, wow, that's an amazing pick. But I think together, defensively it's amazing, and offensively it's also really strong.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely echo a lot of those thoughts. I think something you didn't mention was Sylveon is such a great Wish Passer in this scenario. Because what you see a lot of Mega Aggron players doing is they pair it with a Wish Passing Fairy type.
Yep.
So that's either like Florges, Clefable. In this case, it's Sylveon. And I think that pairing is just so great because they cover each other's weaknesses really well. And then it adds that extra layer of recovery that Mega Aggron really wants to have. So that's definitely there. And then you have that really specially defensive, pair of mons. You have Alolan Muck plus Snorlax. And those two also, I mean, cover each other's, I don't want to say cover each other's weaknesses, but they eat up special hits for days. And with the Wish support, it's also really nice.
Yeah, tons of special ones.
I think my only complaint with this team is that offensively, it sort of leans a little bit on Dragapult a little bit too much. Because besides Dragapult, I mean, I guess you have like Rotom Wash is good, but it's got that 86 speed. Typhlosion is great, but it relies a lot on Specs or Scarf or whatever.
Yeah.
Rampardos, I like it, but I don't think it's going to come very often, especially because the team just doesn't have. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it has a Trick Room user, so
yeah,
would have loved to see that for Rampardos. And I guess Z-Torn also has that offensive pressure, but you're also going to be using it a lot for Prankster Defog and the likes of. So I wish to see a little bit more like breaking power in a certain sense. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have too many physical. Like, you could use Dragapult as a physical attacker, but he doesn't have a really, really strong physical attacker. Not that it's necessary. I mean, I think Passimian's a really great pick for that. You put a Scarf on it, and it could be pretty strong. I think, offensively, it's still really good. I think you could say it's not perfect, but its defensive core is, makes up for it a lot. And also with Sylveon Wish Passing, it's not just good for Aggron, but one problem with Alolan Muck and Rotom is they don't have really reliable recovery, besides maybe Pain Split on Rotom or Gluttony Berry on Muck. And same with Snorlax besides, Gluttony Berry or Rest. So the Wish Pass is going to be amazing for his entire team. I think overall it's definitely a solid 9.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think I would probably give it like 8.5 or 9, something like that.
Maybe low 9. Maybe 9.25 on average. But I think it definitely deserves a 9, at least in the Meditite conference. All right. You want to move on to Miguel's team?
Yeah. So this is a pretty interesting team. I can really see the Pikachu name coming through with the Raichu, the Alolan Raichu Pikachu pick plus Mimikyu. I think that's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, I just realized that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, overall, it's a pretty interesting team. So you have that electric terrain pairing with Surge Surfer Raichu. And then you got Pikachu to abuse that as well. I'm pretty sure it also gets Rising Voltage. So definitely a very electric heavy team. But I mean, electric typing is such a great offensive type as well. So what can you really say about that?
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, you have like Mamoswine's a great physical breaker. And I guess defensively, you do have Mega Audino, Comfey, Milotic, Gligar, which are all fantastic picks. I guess I don't have too much to say. I mean, it definitely leans on like the electric terrain. I don't want to call it a gimmick, but it's like an electric terrain oriented team. Not that it's a bad thing, but I mean, I don't really have too many thoughts about it. I am interested to see how it performs.
Yeah. Honestly, I think how I describe this team is I think it's really cool. I'm not really a big fan of Pikachu. I'm more a Raichu fan. However, this team just makes me want to see Tapu Koko set up to electric terrain, U-turn out, and then see Pikachu destroy something with lightning, with a, what's it called, Light Ball, Grass Knot, Rising Voltage, or Grass Knot on maybe a ground type.
It gets Surf too.
Oh yeah, it gets Surf as well. Yeah, this team is really cool. I definitely like it. In terms of how good it actually is, if you look at his Mega and Z Captain, his Mega is Audino, which is usually not the best. And Mimikyu is also usually a bit underwhelming, but Mimikyu as a Z Captain, I think is a really, really strong pick. I mean, it is 2 fairies right there, but I think Mimikyu has great kind of either breaking or cleaning potential with Swords Dance Shadow Sneak, and especially with his Z move. And I feel like, he has Tapu Koko to U-turn and Volt Switch around. He has Pikachu and Raichu to just, surf and Grass Knot things that get in their way, and just a Rising Voltage everything else. His Mamoswine as a breaker, maybe to weaken things. And Mimikyu just cleans up everything a lot. Delphox is also a really good speed tier he has that pairs well with his Koko. Obviously, once again, he does have 2 of the, Pikachus, Pikachu and Raichu Alola, and they pair well with Tapu Koko. I think overall, it is a really strong team. It's really threatening offensively. Defensively, it's not the best, but I wouldn't quite say it's lacking, because Milotic is... If you look at, like, the Pokemon who are drafted in this tier, like... we have Rain, we got Darmanitan, we got, Garchomp, Cinderace, Haxorus. There's a lot of physical attackers that will get absolutely destroyed by a Flame Orb, Marvel Scale Milotic. So Milotic actually covers a lot of things defensively, and for what you can't get with Milotic, you can make up a bit with Gligar and Audino and Comfey, which is 3 fairies right there, which is a bit interesting. And there also is no Steel type. There's not even... Oh, there's 4 fairies, actually.
Dude, what?
There's no...
What's with it? What's with the no Steel types?
I don't know. No one's drafted us. I mean, we have Mega Aggro. Besides that, there's no Steel types. There's no Dragon either, and there's 4 fairies in this team. So maybe not the best typing defensively, but you just have good defensive mons to make it so his defensive backbone isn't completely just trash, and offensively it's really strong. So I definitely want to say it's maybe a high
I just want to jump in.
Yeah.
Just want to jump in. I really wish there was a grass type here, because I mean, I feel like ground types like have the potential to run through this team with only Gligar stopping it. So if you lose Gligar, I mean, you're very susceptible to like a strong ground type attacker. So would have been nice to see a grass type.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to say, I really want to give it an 8, but it probably doesn't. It probably shouldn't get an 8. There's 4 fairies, maybe high. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, because fairy is a great typing, and I mean 2 of them are more offensive anyway. So I definitely want to say, I guess it probably should be a 7.
7.5.
So yeah, so I guess we'll leave it 7.
Wait, how are there 4 fairies?
Coco, Comfey, Audino.
Oh yeah, Coco. Whoops.
All right, Cinderace Revengers. So I said this before, but I think for once, Core finally drafted a pretty good team. Yeah, he's got a. It is a very nice team. He's got Garchomp, Cinderace. They both pair pretty well. Both strong physical attackers. Then you got Primarina, and you also got Roserade to run out that Fire, Water, Grass. He's got a Steel type, which is great to see. You know, because we haven't seen many of them.
Let's see it.
He actually has a. Actually, I like his chorus. He's got a bit more defensive. Fairy Dragon Steel, and then a bit more offensive Fire, Water, Grass. He also has Moltres Scowler, which I think is a good pairing with the rest of his team. He's got Hitmontop with Intimidate, also a great pairing. Helios gives him a speed tier that he absolutely needs, which I love, and Draclo actually helps that a bit as well, which is very nice. What's Draclo's speed? Do you know?
Pretty sure it's sub 100.
Is there like 95 maybe? Let's see. It is it's 102, so that's pretty nice.
Oh.
I think that's no, Garchomp's 103. I think.
No, Garchomp's 102.
Oh, he's also 102? Who's someone else is
Yeah.
103? Oh, Alolan Ninetales, I think? Maybe?
No. Ninetales is like 109 or something.
There's one VGC Pokemon who's 1 speed faster than Garchomp, and it's super effective. I'm trying to remember. Okay, I'm gonna look it up because I'm really curious now. There's a Pokemon with exactly 103 speed. I remember this from VG. Oh, it's Nihilego, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it's Nihilego.
It sounds about right.
Yeah, Garchomp's 102. Oh, this is okay. Yeah, and it's Nihilego. It's definitely Nihilego. Anyway, that was a bit off topic. I think overall, offensively, very strong team. Very good Fire, Water, Grass score. It's good defensively, but it's not perfect, which I think is fine for Core, because knowing him, he's going to be playing it more offensively anyway. All of his Pokemon, or a lot of them, have a lot of versatility. Moltres can do a lot of different stuff. Garchomp can definitely do a lot of different stuff. Primarina can be Specs, can be Calm Mind, Bulky, can be physical defensive if you need it. It could be Specs, Roserade. It could be a bit more bulky with special defense, Toxic Spikes. I think overall, it is a very, very good team.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a pretty core team, so, like, what can you say about it?
It is.
For
once, it's actually good. It's actually it's a good version of a core team for once.
It's a good balanced team. I mean, I question the Draculac pick. I wish it was Haunter. Just personal preference. Not gonna lie.
What's Haunter's speed? That's 95, right?
It's like 90 something. Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good team. It's got like Chomp, Cinderace, Primarina, and like Roserade are like all like very balancy picks.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing that I would have asked for was like more hazard game,
Right.
I guess.
Uh-huh.
I mean, actually, no, it's still pretty good there. Like Chomp has rocks, and then Roserade has spikes.
Yeah.
And then you get Court Change on Cinderace, plus Rapid Spin, plus Debuff. Okay, actually, never mind. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I talked to Core about this. The Z Hypno pick, in my opinion, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's got a decent move pool. But I feel like that pick could have been used a little bit better.
I think he may have picked that just because he saw the gif of hypnotizing Misty and wanted to try to do something like that.
No, I posted that after I drafted it for him.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I think I may expect that pick from Hoyden because Anyway. So I mean, it's probably an 8, right? I think we can agree on an 8.
Yeah, I give it an 8.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, 8.
I want to give it a 9, but something's definitely holding me back. I don't know if I can put into words what it is. Like, I feel like something.
Yeah, something feels off.
Yeah.
It's like
it's hard to say. It doesn't feel like a 9. I don't know why though, because on paper it looks really good. I'm just trying to.
It almost feels like too balanced.
Yeah, I guess probably because there's not a single Pokemon who is a dedicated wall. Maybe that's what it is, right? Mega Scissor is like the closest thing to a dedicated wall.
Yeah.
A lot of bulky offense, which is a lot of times what I like to play. But there's no dedicated wall besides maybe Mega Scissor.
Yeah,
that's probably it.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. Okay, so want to start us off with Coyote's team and Ruptured Mobiles?
Yeah, sure. So this is quite the similar team from last season, drafted by Kaide.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, like there's definitely a few change ups, right? I think Manaphy's new. Mega Gyarados is new, so it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But you got the same. You got Spectre as a tier 1. I mean, you can't really go wrong with Pokemon. And then in terms of cores, I mean, like you got the Escavalier plus Whimsicott plus
no dragon.
I guess Turtonator.
Oh,
Turtonator.
Oh, yeah, Turtonator.
As like the Fairy Dragon Steel, and then like Fire Water Grass, you got probably Manaphy, Turtonator plus Whimsicott. So I mean, pretty interesting picks here. I mean, you got a lot of like low tier Pokemon like holding up the cores here, but offensively, I mean, it's pretty demonic because you got Spectrier that can snowball really well, Manaphy that can break really well with Tail Glow, and then Mega Gyarados. I mean, we all know what that does. The Dragon dances and sweeps your team. So definitely really cool team here going. And also you have Thundurus, Crocodile that can be choiced or things like that. Z Turtonator is also interesting, although I prefer it as a more defensive Pokemon. And then you have Primeape as your tier 5. I mean, I guess it's good for like Defiant. But I mean, it's a pretty interesting team, and I think he did pretty well last season. So I'm curious to see how it does again.
Yeah, he did do really well. So who's the same on this team? He's got Spectrier. He's got I think Thundurus. Is that the same?
I know Spec, Crook
and Escavalier. Yeah, both of his tier 3s I know.
Zatu, and Whimsicott are all the same.
Okay. Yeah, so those 5, and I think maybe Thundurus too. So last time I remember we definitely said it was an interesting team, which it definitely is. And we probably said that it has, it's very, we don't really know what to think about it, and we want to see what he does with it. I don't think I actually caught too many battles where he played last season, so I definitely want to see more of those this time. But he did do really well. I have no doubt that he'll be able to do well again. I do think the Meditite division is a bit more competitive than it is last time around. I mean, at least I thought so, but now I see there isn't many steals, which is very concerning. Of course, Coyote does have a Celia's Escavalier, which is pretty decent. He doesn't have... Okay, he does have a Fire Water Grass, but
he's got it all.
I think Whimsicott's an amazing tier 4, by the way. I draft it, not I draft it this time, but I like to draft it. It's with specs, it's super powerful. He can also run Cell Bleach Seed, and there's also a shit ton of utility. He has it as Defogger. He also has Zatu as a Defogger. I love the Gyarados pick. I was actually originally going to pick that, but I eventually went with Mega Mawile instead because of how my drafting ended up working out. But I love the Gyarados pick. 2 water types that are very offensive in Gyarados plus Manaphy, but I think it could definitely work out. Once again, I think it's a team that depends a lot on how he uses it. It's very unconventional, something that we don't usually see. Just a lot of Pokemon that, I don't know,
you just don't see them in draft.
Yeah,
but like it like works well when you look at them together. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't see Spectre.
I remember saying this last season. I was like, I'm interested to see how this team does, and like really it did pretty well. I'm going to say the exact same thing. I'm very interested to see how this team does.
Yes,
and I hope they make it far.
I feel like we probably should have learned a bit more from last time, but I mean, I wasn't paying too much attention to his matches. All I know is that he did well, so I mean, he could probably do it again. So,
yeah.
I mean, I guess we'll give it a rating. The rating for his team won't mean too much. I think we give it, I don't know, maybe a 7.
I want to give it an 8.
Really? Because I mean,
at least.
I just don't see anything on this team that make me say, "Oh, this is like really, really good." I mean, the low tier picks.
Really? Because like offensively, it's pretty terrifying, in my opinion.
I guess, but like Spectre plus Gyarados, it's a ghost and I mean a water type, but also dark type. Those are both really offensive, and they both struggle against other dark types. Same with Crook. Like, what is this team gonna do to Mandibuzz besides Thundurus? Like, Mandibuzz absolutely destroys this team. I don't think there's a Mandibuzz. Yeah. Is there a Mandibuzz? There's not a Mandibuzz.
Dude, no one drafted Mandibuzz.
No one drafted Mandibuzz.
And it's a tier 2, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm down to give it like a 7. I mean, in my opinion, high 7s, but yeah, we can give it a 7.
Okay. All right, now we got.
It's just one of those. I think final thoughts. It's one of those teams where it comes down to the player.
Mm-hmm. All right, now we got Green Bay Zekrooms.
Yo, this team's fire. This team is fire.
Shut up, bro.
This team is fire.
No, you don't get to comment on this one. Maybe on your own team, but not, okay. Do you want to review this and maybe just save it till next time when we do your team?
No, we can do it.
You want to do it now? Then what are we gonna? Okay, so I guess when we do your team, should we just? I mean, it's not actually. We should do it because it's it's not. He's getting more out of this than you are because you're literally the one here ranking the team, right? So we might as well do it for him. Then we'll come to you next time. We'll maybe talk about some of the differences. I think the only difference is that you have Roserade and he has Venusaur.
Venusaur. Yeah.
I'm assuming that was because Roserade was already taken.
Yeah, of course, I did.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about this team. Shadow's Green Bay Zekroms. His first time back since season 4. Welcome back, Shadow. I think this team, I do think it is really strong. Similar to what I said about Core, I think Kevin usually drafts a better draft than Core, but both of them usually don't have an amazing draft. I think this time around Core does have a draft that's closer to amazing, and Kevin, I think you also have a draft that's closer to amazing. It's definitely one of your better drafts. I used Haxorus in Season 3. It was actually the season where it's only Galar decks, and did really well there, so I mean, it's very possible it doesn't do as well here. But in Galar decks, there's still things like Clefable and Corviknight, which are its biggest weaknesses. So I think Haxorus is overall a great pick. It could be Bandit, it could be Scarf, it could run Mold Breaker, Rivalry, it could be Dragon Dance, Swords Dance if you really want. It could be Scale. It gets Scale Shot, right?
Yeah, it gets Swords Dance, Scale Shot.
Yeah, Swords Dance, Scale Shot. So it used to rely on Dragon Dance. Now it doesn't even have to. It could really, if it wants to, it can run Swords Dance, Scale Shot, which is super threatening. It has an insane, base 147?
145.
145 attack.
Yeah, 40-something. 40-something.
140, yeah. Actually, what? I'm going to look it up right now because I'm going to be really impressed with myself if it is 147. Let me just say that. Okay. It's base attack. I'm a genius. It's 147. Okay. Yeah, anyway, let's enough about Haxorus. He has the very nice Fairy Dragon Steel core. He has a pretty solid Fire, Water, Grass core. Even though he didn't get Roserade, I think Venusaur is honestly an equivalent pick. I mean, you can't set up spikes, but you have Greninja for that. You also have 2 Defoggers, so a lot of times you're defogging stuff away anyway. You also have your Stealth Rocker. I think Venusaur is honestly just as good as a pick as Roserade in this context. Offensively, you have you have a more offensive Fairy Dragon Steel core with Corviknight as a Steel, which is a bit more defensive. You have Greninja, which is really strong. Pangoro, which is really strong. Defensively, to round out your Fairy Dragon Steel, sometimes you might want to switch Gardevoir into a resisted attack because you want to save its HP for late game cleaning with Calm Mind. But you have Wigglytuff for that. You also have Cofregus, which is a very nice lower tier pick. It's actually a Z Captain, and so I guess we could actually ask you, Kevin. So what's the thought behind putting Cofregus as the Z Captain?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's better to just briefly run through the whole thought process.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with Fairy Dragon Steel. Obviously, we wanted to go Gardevoir, right? I mean, I don't even need to explain that. But then I thought, what goes well?
Before we continue, let me just explain this, guys. Kevin's thought process is essentially Zekrom's Shadow's thought process, because Zekrom, it wasn't either Zekrom literally or Shadow literally drafted what Kevin drafted. Literally. It wasn't the other way around. Shadow just said, okay, Kevin's drafting this, I'm gonna draft this. So yeah. Yeah,
so we went with the Gardevoir pick as the first start. And then I wanted to build a Fairy Dragon Steel core, so I got Corviknight. I feel like Corviknight's probably one of the best picks possible with Gardevoir, because it's a great pivot into its weaknesses, and then you can U-turn right back into it. And then I wanted a physical breaker, so I feel like Haxorus was one of the most logical choices. In terms of Fire, Water, Grass, you do have the Rotom plus Venusaur core. I think my only downside about the core is that Greninja's not very bulky. So when you really want to have that water resist, it's not there.
Right.
So I feel like that is kind of exploitable. But also, I think Gardevoir and Haxorus are really great breakers, and they can sweep as well. But I did want secondary breakers, so that's why I did opt with the Pangoro pick as a physical attacker. And I got Roserade, which has the 125 for special attack. Venusaur works as well, but it doesn't have as much of an offensive presence. And in terms of the low tier picks, I mean, Piloswine's a great Eviolite abuser. It's a stealth rocker. It does what it does. And same with Cofagrigus. I mean, it's very defensive. And the reason why I made it the Z user is because it gets. I was most interested in Z Memento, because it can bring in something like Haxorus or Gardevoir or the likes of, and just set them up for another sweep.
Right.
But also, I mean, Cofagrigus is a very value pick for tier 4, and it can clean up late game too, because you can set up Trick Room, and it only has 90 special attack. But I think with the Z Crystal, I feel like Z Ghost or Z Shadow Ball can break through some of those remaining Pokemon and really clean up the game as well. Final pick was Wigglytuff, and I think Wigglytuff is a great mold for a tier 5 because you get Wish and Stealth Rocks, Teleport to pivot with, competitive to block a lot of defogging, especially with so many hazard stackers for the team. So yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of the team. I feel like it has its strengths, but also, you know, it's not perfect. So
yeah. Also, I think Configurus gets a Z Haze, which fully restores your HP, right? So that's also pretty good use for the Z. Yeah, I think the biggest weakness of this team is, you know, like you said, you know, water type switch-ins could be rough because you know your Greninja is not too bulky. I think Corviknight is by far, and maybe Configurus as well, mainly Corviknight is your best defensive Pokemon. So you think, okay, who's that weak to? Can you switch into it? Well, fire types and electric types. I mean, electric types, you know, you got Rotom, you got Venusaur, I guess. You got Piloswine, so I guess it works out. But special attacking fire types and special attacking water types are going to be very hard for your team to switch into, right? Or Shadow's team as well. You know, like a Keldeo, Hydro Pump, you don't really have a switch. You have zero switch into that. Or what's another? I guess if you look at Beaton Bidoof, you know, Overheat and Fernape, you don't have a switch into that. Besides maybe Rotom Heat, but I won't want to take like a Z fighting, obviously. So special attacks would be a bit rough, mainly when they, you know, Corviknight can't switch into them. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I feel like this team, like, no, like, to be completely honest, it drops to the Rain team.
True. Yeah, it does. It does not have any way to get rid of or to counter that. To counter there is, yeah, it is 0 counters to Keldeo. Right? Keldeo just fucks up the entire team. It even outspeeds Gardevoir. So that's gonna be rough. Luckily, you don't got to face that. That's only maybe rough for Shadow. It's in his league. How do you feel, by the way, about him taking his team? Do you feel flattered? What do you feel about it?
About what?
About Shadow using your team?
I mean, I feel pretty flattered. You know, it just comes to demonstrate my expertise in team
your
building.
Amazing drafting skills.
Exactly.
All right. What do you think we should give this team?
High 8s.
Yep, I agree. I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to start us off with Jacob and this Toronto Star.
Yeah. So, that's Rapid Strike, right? Or
yes,
Rapid Strike.
It is definitely not Single Strike. I'll tell you that. That thing is overpowered. If it was, by the way, he would have a very similar team to F, or mainly this. I think.
I was about to say, because it has the Necrozma plus Urshifu.
Yeah, I feel like he had something else that was the same. Maybe did he have Donphan? No, maybe not. Maybe I think I'm tripping. Did he have Scissors?
It's only those two.
There's only those two.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Overall, it's a really cool team. I feel like I'm interested to see how Urshifu Rapid Strike is used. I personally don't think it's a great tier 1 to draft, but I think in the context of Jacob's team, I mean, it's not bad. So looking at the team from like a high level point of view, you do have like Scissor plus Aromatisse plus, I guess, Mega Ampharos, which is quite the bulky core. And with Wish support, I mean, it definitely gives them that extra recovery that they are looking for. I guess offensively, you do have Urshifu Rapid Strike, which is very threatening, plus Scissor, plus Mega Ampharos, which hits hard. Marowak Alola, again, that's a freaking nuke. And you can set Trick Room with something like Aromatisse. So I feel like the team has a lot going for it. I kind of wish the Fire, Water, Grass core was a bit more bulky, but it seems quite offensive besides Cradilly.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, overall, it's a great pick. It's a great team. I like the Z Crobat pick. I like the tier 4 Sneasel. I like the tier 3 Donphin. So, I mean, overall, the team has a lot going for it, but that's just hard to like put into words, honestly.
Yeah. I agree. The Crobat Z pick is really nice. Crobat is very fast and would often find itself being a utility user. Every once in a while being able to fire for Brave Bird, but offensively it's usually not that much of a threat. Because 1, it doesn't have a very high attack stat, and 2, it's Brave Birds, which are high base power, so they usually can do a decent amount of damage. They give a lot of recoil to it. I mean, it does have Roost, but I think the Z, putting a Z on it gets rid of the recoil, and it makes it a lot more of an offensive threat, which is very nice. It could still, of course, be bulky with Roost and Defog and stuff, with heavy-duty boots. So overall, I think the team, I definitely agree with a lot of what you said. Urshifu single strike or rapid strike is, yeah, I agree. It's not the best pick. Luckily, there is no Tox effects, but people have drafted Clef, people have drafted. There's a Prima Marina, there's a Tangrowth, and there's a Corviknight. So yeah, a lot of its counters, or at least its switch-ins, are drafted. So I think it could definitely struggle. I do want to. How did Jacob? I think Jacob did decent last season. Do you remember what he drafted, or somewhat what he drafted? Kevin?
I don't
okay.
remember.
I thought my wife.
I was gonna say, did he play last season?
Yeah, Jacob played.
I don't remember.
Unfortunately,
I don't remember.
On the FBA anime opening, the thing I actually had Jacob on it. Because he's in the homie squad, and it said nothing here. He's irrelevant. So I guess he's irrelevant. You don't even remember him.
My bad.
Oh, that's tragic.
Okay, I was gonna jump in and say, so Mega Ampharos is a tier 4 Mega, right? So why did he draft? Because Crowbat's tier 3, and it's his E user.
Interesting.
I would have wished he actually abused that extra tier 2, because I feel like you can do a lot with that third tier 2.
Yeah.
Kind of wish that happened. Not sure why he opted for tier 3. Maybe he didn't realize, but
yeah.
I'm gonna ding him on that one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we went from praising Crobat as a pick to now realizing, wait a minute, he could have got a tier 2 instead, so it's maybe not the best. I mean, Crobat's really nice, but like look at the rest of the tier 2s. Like there's a Beaton Bidoof has a Z Infernape, which is millions of times better. Yeah. Anyway, so overall, I think the team. I don't actually think I talked about the team too much. He does have a dragon. He has a Fairy Dragon Steel core, and he does have a Fire Water Grass core. No, he does not have a grass. Yes, he does have a grass. He has Cradily. Overall, I think there's some interesting picks. There are a lot of Pokemon on this team that, similar to Coyote's team, you don't see too often. At least in singles. Like you see Marowak every once in a while in singles, a lot more of a doubles Pokemon. You don't see Urshifu too much in singles, at least in draft format. Overall, I do think it's not a bad team, but I don't really see anything about this team that just besides me, like I think Alolan Marowak is really strong, but everything else just doesn't really seem too threatening to me. And Necrozma, of course. Maybe Swordsdance Scissor as well, but nothing seems like too much of a threat. Like I'm just not scared by the team, Like I don't feel it when I look at this team. I don't feel threatened,
Yeah, I mean, like Mega Ampharos is like
it is really strong as well.
Not a great Mega, and then like Urshifu Rapid Strike kind of gets Rocky Helmet chipped.
Yeah.
So
Do we? So it's definitely a 6 or a 7, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we gave the Rain team a 6, I kind of want to give this a 6.
Yeah. Okay. I definitely don't say we give it a 5. We give the Rain team a 6. All right. I think I'm up with Thespian Thievals. This is Fennel's team. First glance looks pretty nice. He's got Lando, he's got Weavile, he's got Arcanine. All some pretty good picks. Fortress is nice. Yeah, all of his picks are pretty nice. Do they pair well though? So, Fairy Dragon Steel. By the way, guys, whenever we talk about Fire, Water, Grass, Fairy, Dragon, Steel, they're not always necessary, but they're definitely a good place to start off when looking at teams. So don't think you always hit the draft Fairy, Water, Steel, or Fairy, Dragon, Steel, Fire, Water, Grass. But I mean, a lot of those things are really good. Like Fairy's always really good. Steel type's always really good, which Meditite Conference, you should draft more Steels. But yeah, anyway, Fire, Water, Grass. He's got Arcanine, Jellicent, Meganium, and Meganium's a Z Captain, which is an interesting pick. Do you know of any good support moves that Meganium can use with the Z move? Or no? I have no idea.
I mean, I feel like it's more of like a fun pick than a strategic one.
Right. I mean, I do think it's really nice because Arcanine plus Jellicent is a very good mid-tier Fire Water start, and then Meganium paired with that is not too bad. I think does it get Wish?
I don't know, dude.
Okay, we don't know much about Meganium. I mean, he gets Aromatherapy, I know, which is nice. And Fairy Dragon Steel, Latias, Fortress, and Diancie. So he's got actually pretty bulky Fire, Water, Grass, Fairy Dragon Steels. And then offensively, and he also has Lando, which is always a great pairing with a Fire Water Dragon or a Fairy Dragon. It's just a great pairing overall with any defensive core. Every defensive core appreciates a Lando. Offensively, he's still got the Weavile and the Mega Lopunny, which is really strong. Only thing I'm not really seeing, I mean, he has Latias as a special attacker. Maybe Specs Arcanine could happen, catch people off guard. But I don't see any real special breaker, right? Like Latias is setup sweeper.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess there isn't like a dedicated special
Yeah.
breaker. I mean, definitely not a special attacking Pokemon with greater than 100. I like to make 120 the benchmark,
Right.
and I don't see that here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I do think if you look at it, besides maybe a powerful special breaker, he does hit all the benchmarks of a standard team. He has the good cores. He has good rolls. He has good what's it called? Good coverage of different roles, I guess. Right. He's got He's got defoggers. He's got a rock. He's got. What is Diance's? Is Diancie sturdy? Right. It's Mega's Magic Bounce, right? I'm pretty sure it's starting to be.
Yeah, Mega's Magic
Bounce. So it doesn't Magic Bounce. But he just have Rapid Spinner, he has Defogger, he has Fortress, Rock Setter, he has Cleric and Meganium, he has Setup Sweeper, he has a lot of pivots. I think overall it is definitely a very solid team. He has on paper, it's a very standard, good draft team with a lot of good, coverage of different roles. He is missing a powerful special breaker. But I mean, he does have Latias as a setup sweeper as a special attacker, so it's not too big of a loss. I think overall it's definitely a really strong team though, and I think in Meditite Conference it's a very consistent team. So if he can play it right and just play it as the team should be played, he should be able to do pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I definitely echo the points about the special breaker. Having used Latias last season, it just doesn't have the damage. Like I tried to do like Specs, Calyx.
Yeah,
I did Calm Mind, like +1 Calm Mind, Life Orb, Calyx, like it doesn't do the job offensively.
Yeah, you honestly just gotta go full setup if you're going with it. You need to go like maybe Reflect.
Yeah, you gotta like Calm Mind +3.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, +3 is what you really need. I think that's the number for Latias, +3.
Yeah. I mean, like I want to bring more attention to the Latias, Fortress, and Diancie core. I feel like that's really strong.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
I feel like Latias and Fortress in particular pair together really well, and they're both extremely bulky. Like Fortress, like I've playing more Brilliant Diamond OU, like I definitely have gained a better appreciation for like the bulk on Fortress, especially because it can set rocks and like it gets Volt Switch, which is like you wouldn't think it gets Volt Switch, but it does, and that's it makes it a great pivot as well. Yeah, I mean, like I feel like this team is like great overall. Although I feel like something like Weavile and Lopunny like kind of do fill in the same roles as like fast physical attackers, but I mean, like again, like you said, played right, it's gonna do good. It's gonna do good.
Yeah. So I feel like Diancie's a mon that catches people off guard a lot. Maybe it just catches me off guard because it's a lower tier.
Oh yeah, no one pays attention to the no one pays attention to the 100 attack and special attack.
100 attack, really? I was thinking defensively.
Yeah,
what's his defense?
No, defensively it's 150, 150.
And then 50 HP, I think.
It swaps when you Mega.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I feel like I could easily just be like, if I was this is TST, right? If I was Jacob, I could see myself, using using Alolan Marowak. I use Alolan Marowak a lot in VGC especially. I just see myself being like, okay, Alolan Marowak has no switch-ins. What's he gonna do? Go in his Intimidate Landorus? He gets Flare Blitz. Arcanine, I mean, unless he's physically offensive, he can't even take a Flare Blitz. I could just Poltergeist him and just shit on him. Jellicent, that thing's not gonna eat a Flare Blitz if it has any, unless it has like full Fizzbulk, and obviously Poltergeist scares it out. What's he gonna do? And I see him switch to his Diancie, take like only 30% from a Flare Blitz. I'm like, shoot. So, yeah. Pretty strong team.
Yeah, Diancie is a fantastic low tier fairy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Does it get rocks?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely really good then. I think it's a solid 8 then for this team.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's almost a 9. I might just give it to him.
You want to give it a 9? I think it's fair.
Yeah, I mean, if we gave C4 a 9, I feel like this is a 9.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. Also, because like, I feel like there's nothing on this team that's too threatening. But at the same time, like, you don't really need to have it because you have so much consistency with this team, and you're in the Meditite conference. So if you just play it right, you should be fine. not to say anything bad about the Meditite conference. Just consistent play will often destroy a lot of the lower tier players. All right, and want to start us off with our last one, Hoyden and the B-Town Bitters.
Yeah, this is basically Ujana's what is it, like season 5 draft?
Season 5.
Where he went absolutely crazy with the regenerator core. I think this time it's a little bit more offensive actually, because you have like Tangrowth, a Alomomola, and a regular Audino. So that's like your triple regenerator core.
Yeah.
And then you have more defensive Pokemon, like you have Celesteela. Salamence can be very defensive. Drapion can do some defensive work. Mudsdale is obviously very defensive. Electros is very bulky. So I mean, it's a very I want to call it like bulky offense, because it can do well offensively too. I mean, like Mega Banette's got the 165 attack stat. You have Z Infernape. Electros can coil up. Celesteela has Beast Boost plus Autonomize. So I mean, like it's a pretty threatening team. I think my biggest gripe with it is I feel like the regenerator core could have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to see Slowbro instead of Alomomola.
Yeah. I was going to say the exact same thing. Where's the Slowbro?
Yeah. I have a lot of problems with Alomomola, especially because of the fact that it can't pivot at all. If it got Flip Turn, it would have been a different story, but it didn't. And I feel like whenever you switch in Alomomola, it's just so hard to switch it out, and you just spam Wish and Protect over and over and over again. So I mean, that's my biggest gripe. But overall, it's a strong team. I mean, like Ujana, steamrolled all of us with it in season 5. So what can I say? Yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts.
Yep. Similarly to Ujana's team, the Z Infernape is an amazing pick because you stall weaken shit, and then Infernape can come and just blow something up. Or maybe it can even just early game just blow something up that would have been used to kind of try to beat the stall. I do see a huge problem with this team. He doesn't have something, and the only Pokemon who actually he has that can somewhat do it is Salamence. Do you know what that is, Kevin? What is he missing? Do you have any ideas?
Set up speed boost.
No. Well, from a defensive
or Roost
mainly,
recovery.
He does have a Alomomola. Actually, he doesn't have too much recovery now that you say. I mean, he has a regenerator as well, but something defensive.
No, Alomomola can Wish.
Yeah. He's missing something. I
don't know what you're looking for.
It can chip down his team a lot.
I don't know what you're looking for.
He doesn't have besides Salamence, he doesn't have a defogger, bro.
Oh, facts.
Yeah.
Or
rapid spin. He doesn't have any rapid spinning. His only way of getting rid of hazards is Salamence, it could be pretty bulky, but on a stally team like this, you're definitely gonna want something that's a bit more consistent. I could just see Court. Listen, Meditite conference, okay? I do not want him to win at all because I do not like that team. I do not like looking at a Alomomola. I do not like Celesteela even. Please destroy him. Core can easily just lead Roserade or bring in Roserade at some point, set up Toxic Spikes, and then it's essentially a wrap. Like Salamence can even switch into that because it can't be Assault Vest because it has to defog. So a Sludge Bomb on the switches can destroy it. So just set up hazards against Sworden, and that's actually the way to beat it. But be careful about Celesteela because it could be more offensive and destroy you. I feel like there's a lot of Pokemon on his team that could be more offensive and you don't even expect it. Technically, even Tangrowth can be offensive. It's like base 120 attack or 100, 120 attack. I think it's 120 attack, right?
I think it's 120. Yeah.
Yeah, 120 attack Power Whip, which would be really strong. Salamence can obviously be offensive. Celesteela can be offensive.
Wait, is it 120? It's somewhere there.
Yeah, watch out for Iron Defense. I think it's Iron Defense. Body Press from Mudsdale. So overall, this team can be very deceiving as more of a stally team and then do something offensive. So it definitely has a bit of versatility in its picks. It's not just a pure defensive team. But overall, it is missing that huge component of a good defogger, besides maybe Salamence. So that I definitely have to take off points for that. I'm saying it's probably going to be... I would say 7, but just since it's in the Meditite conference and it's a really solid, bulky team, I feel like it's going to be tough to deal with.
I'll give it an 8.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8 as well. All right.
I mean, I feel like the hazard problem, it's not too bad. I mean, you can work around with it. I mean, boots exist. Drapion can absorb T-spikes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any jarring stealth rock weaknesses besides Salamence, which you can put boots on. I think the only problem that I see is maybe spikes to break the defensive core. So I mean, it definitely exists, but there's ways to work around it.
Yeah. All right, so I want to do a power rankings then, real quick.
Yeah. So I guess we can start. Do you want to go bottom to top or top to bottom?
Well, I think what we should just like start, like number we'll do the number 9s first, right, and say which is better, right? Because we already ranked them in terms of their out of 10.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So our number 9s, we have C-Force, and we have, I covered the name. Let me try to remember, who was this? Thespian. Oh, this was Thespian Devils, right? So this was Fennel. So we have Fennel and C-Force's team. What do you think?
They're both very similar.
They are.
They're both very similar.
Yeah, they both don't have any Pokemon that are like incredibly threatening, but they're both very consistent.
I almost like Fennel's team more, and I think the reason being is that I feel like the defensive core is a bit more synergized. I understand C-Force has like Sylveon plus Mega Aggron, but it can only do so much. I feel like Latias plus Fortress plus Diancie is just really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, you can't, like, I know we said it's not like very offensive, but like Megalop and Weavile are extremely threatening,
mm-hmm.
and Lando can do a lot of damage as well. So
yeah,
it's not like it doesn't have the offensive presence; it just doesn't have that special breaking power besides like Setup Lati.
Yeah, I agree, and the main reason is because, as I said earlier, C-Force, he has amazing special walls, but he doesn't have the physical bulk to match that. I mean, he does have Mega Aggron, and he can run some of his Pokemon more physically bulky, like Sylveon or Rotom, but his special bulk just outweighs his physical bulk by a lot. So yeah.
Agreed.
So we got the 8s, which is Shadow, Core, and Hoiden. What do you think?
I'll let you decide this time.
Okay, I think Hoiden, honestly, I want to give Hoiden last out of these. I'm gonna give him 5th.
I kind of agree.
Yeah.
I think that offensive balance or bulky offense is like harder to play than you think.
Yeah. I really want to give Core a higher score than Shadow, but at the same time, same thing as before. Like, something feels off. Well, what was it that I said that feels
Something
off?
feels wrong.
Oh, there's no dedicated wall. So yeah, I think
I feel like
yeah.
I feel like my problem with Core's team is that it's like it's a bunch of offensive but also bulky Pokemon. But I like it when drafts like have specialized roles. Right. So like I like it when you have that like 130 plus like stat attacker.
Right. At least one of
that,
them.
like,
at least one of them.
120 plus bulk like defensive mod. I feel like all of these Pokemon are like it's like almost like too well rounded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. It's similar
That's
with
just
your
the vibe
team.
that I get.
It's similar with your team, but where Core has Scissor as his, as a defensive guy, you have Corviknight, which is way better defensively. So yeah, I think we give so we have 1st is Fennel, 2nd is C-Force. I think we have 3rd is Shadow, and then 4th is Core, 5th is Hoiden. Okay, so the 7s we got Kaide, Memo, and which team was this? This was, I forgot. What team is this?
What, the second one?
Yeah. Oh, this is Sushi. Let's save the bets.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, it's hard to rank Kaide. I mean, as a whole, I don't see the team being too strong just by looking at the team. I like the Gyarados pick though. Memo is also once again a really interesting team. We liked it a lot more at first. Then on second thought, we were like, wait, there's 4 fairies. There's not a single steel. Not a single dragon.
I like the second one.
Yeah,
I like
I agree,
the Hoopa Unbound plus Diancie one. Yep. It's just really strong. I mean, like, there's so many offensive options, and like, I feel like the Bulu Lucha core, like the secondary like Bulu Lucha core, really puts it over. So
okay, yeah.
Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and then after that, any ideas on Kaide versus Memo? Actually,
I
like Kaide.
I like Kaide.
Yeah, it has to be.
Just because I mean, like, it's a really, it just has a lot of style points to it.
Yeah.
And it does have like the cores.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Memo's team just like, it's got that ground weakness. It's not like a jarring weakness, but like it kind of puts me off a little bit.
Yeah. Before we continue, by the way, I just want to say, like, okay, I'm looking up the season 6 spreadsheet right now just to make sure I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. So what I was gonna say, and I still agree with that looking at the spreadsheet. Actually, season 6 is better than I thought, but I think the drafts overall, I think the drafts are a bit stronger this season in Meditite Conference than they were last season. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I definitely think the players are stronger, by the way. Like, definitely. Like,
yeah. For sure.
The drafts are a bit stronger, but the players are by far stronger. So, the new players are definitely stronger than the new players we had last season, especially since we had like 2 leave. And the returning players, we have a lot of people who I wanted to put in Medichan, but we just had too many slots filled. I wanted C-Force to move up. I wanted Kaede to maybe move up, but they had to stay down because there are 10 slots filled. So it's going to be a very strong division overall. Anyway, so let's keep going. So last 2 teams we have are Ash's team, London Lucarios, and then we have what was this team? This team is
Jacobs?
Yes, TST.
Toronto Raptors.
Toronto Raptors, Jacob's team. Yeah, I think Jacob goes first, right?
Yeah. I feel like Rain is just one of those teams that, like, full disclosure, Rain's one of those teams that we always rank last because it's like, oh, it doesn't have the core, or like,
did we do that?
It's not defensive.
Did we rank Darian's?
Yeah, I mean,
time?
like season 4, we shit on Gappy's team,
well,
and then like season 5,
we shit on Gappy's team, dude.
Who ran the Rain team season 5?
In Meditite, Darian, who was the champion. So.
Oh, right. So
what do we
I mean,
rank
like,
that
and
from?
I think we ranked Darian's team pretty low, but he got champion.
Did we?
Yeah, dude, we always shit on the Rain teams, but like, it's just like so like offensive.
Yeah.
I would put it 10th, but like I feel like it's still gonna perform well.
Yeah.
Dependent on the user.
Yeah, like I feel like we said, like when we started looking at this, like the first few minutes of this video, we were like, okay, the Rain team is, it's a Rain team. It doesn't even have. I mean, the main thing is that it's Dormammu does not pair well at all with other picks. We're like, but okay, it's not bad. It could work. And then just after you see every other team, you're like, okay, looking back, yeah, the Rain team is not that good.
But like, if you look at a lot of the teams, like, what do they have for a Specs, Rain, Keldea?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like holistically, it's not a great team, but
wait a minute.
Probably.
I was thinking of this as this is not even. I was thinking that this is bad if it's Darm G, right? Because it doesn't fit at all and it's not even that strong. This isn't even Darm G. This is Zen mode.
Yeah, it's Zen mode.
Yeah, what does it even do? I mean, yeah, I feel like that's awful because on a Rain team, okay, a fire type is good for coverage, but it's not the best. But then you got Darm, who's barely even a fire type, and then it eventually gets its fire typing. It's an ice type almost, but then it gets its fire typing when it's half HP left. It's like the worst of both worlds. It's just awful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, why is Darm on this team? Standard Darm is bad on this team. Zen Darm, I'm not sure if it's worse than normal Darm on this team, but either way, it's not good. Get rid of the Darm.
I feel like
I'm gonna be honest,
if I was Ash, yeah, I would have.
Throw that out.
I would probably drop Darm, and I don't. God, like the problem is there's not a lot of fire types in tier 2, but I would.
What about a grass type
pick up something.
or electric type? Grass type or electric type for the
Yeah, like honestly, like Reggie Alecki would be better than this.
Yeah, it's great actually, because its main problem is ground types, and you have 2 very strong waters, and it's a Rain team. So yeah, Darm is trash on this team. This is actually I think out of the entire draft, the Pokemon I think fits the worst on their given team is the Dormammu. I do not like that pick at all on the team.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still a strong team. Like, not a lot of teams can withstand Rain, but
true.
Just from a high level, I mean, like, you kind of have to put it 10.
I do think that the players in this. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I want to jump in. Just to add that last statement, like, I just feel like even if we rank your team low, that doesn't mean you're not going to do well.
Yeah.
And I feel like more importantly than like how well the team is drafted is how well the players do.
Yeah.
And I feel like for example, like Kaide's team that we put like 7th, like Kaide's a great player, and like
he did amazing
really
last time.
Down to how
once again, I want to put him in Medicham. He did really good.
Exactly. So it comes down more to the player.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, there are some times where the team is just unforgivably bad, but I don't think I don't know.
There isn't a team like that this time.
Well, definitely not this
there
time. Has there ever been? Was Gappy's team that bad?
No.
Maybe Gappy's team was pretty good.
Well, it was full Rain, so like.
Yeah. I mean, honestly though, this team is almost as bad just because of the Darmanitan. I mean, get rid of that Darmanitan, and this team could be a million times better already. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I just don't know what it's doing here.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any closing thoughts, Kevin?
I already said them.
I guess you kind of did. I don't really have much. I think so it's an hour and 4 minutes. It's been. It's pretty standard. I'm very excited for this season. For the new players, I think it'll give them a great taste of this season, especially upcoming into season 8, which season 8 will be a lot of a different format. And it'll be a lot more serious. And I think this will be a great season for some of the older players to maybe just try some new things, maybe fuck around a bit. We already saw. I mean, we'll talk about next time that Camel has a snake team. I think it'll just be a really fun season. I want the season to be really fun, and I think next season we're gonna have I mean, I'm not going to explain the whole format now. It's really complicated. But just know that instead of being your own coach, I mean, you will be a coach of a team, and you will be doing every week. You'll do the battle by yourself, but the draft will be shared with other coaches, and your win record is affected by them. Essentially, you're all one big team of 3. So I think next season it's going to last the whole year as well. So it's going to be very highly competitive. I want it to be the most competitive season we have, and it probably will be. But this season is just going to be a great time to fuck around and just have some fun trying out some new things. And once again, new players will get to kind of experience FBA real quick before we get into the really serious season 8 arc, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. All right, so I guess that's it. Thank you all for watching. And yeah, see you guys later. Bye-bye.
See you.